I made a huge mistake with my Summoner Necromancer. I missed an aspect that would essentially double my damage and also a way to play the Golem to add vulnerable to my build. In this video, I'll show you the aspect, how to get the most out of your Golem, a viability update with level 66 plus, and how my Paragon board looks right now to boost my shadow damage by 50 to 80%. We're currently level 66 plus, and I can do tier 21, that is Torment World Tier 4 Nightmare Dungeons, completely solo. With a new aspect right now, I can do it even better. Very quick breakdown on how I do damage so you understand why we're doing this. For level 1 to 50 and a complete breakdown also on the endgame build, there's 2 links in the description below giving you everything in written form and video form. I mainly use Shadow Blight. Shadow damage infects enemies with Shadow Blight for 2 seconds. You and your minions deal 10% bonus damage to enemies with Shadow Blight, and every 10th time a enemy receives shadow damage, he gets 1,000 bonus damage. And this one gets increased so much with everything we do, because we have the Army of the Dead using skeleton mages to do shadow damage and bonus shadow damage every 5th attack, while the Reapers make bonus corpses. And we actually swapped over to Iron Golem, and I'll tell you why later. Then we're transforming Corpse Explosion into a pool of shadow to trigger also our Shadow Blight. We have an aspect for Blood Mist to leave behind corpses, explode, and also leave behind a trail of shadows, make bonus corpses, and then also have the Blight to essentially do more shadow damage and stack Shadow Blight like there's no tomorrow and constantly keep these damage ticks. And yes, we don't use a core skill anymore like Bone Splinters. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normal skills and produce essence over corpses. Now there's 2 new aspects we're using. One did good, the other one absolutely insane. This is each time the Shadow Blight key passive deals damage to enemies, it increases the next Shadow Blight's damage within 10 seconds by 60%. Which means that every time Shadow Blight damage happens, and it happens continuously, 60% more, in total 300% more. That means 1,000 damage times 300% will give us already 4,000 damage takes with the Shadow Blight. And a Shadow Blight take happens every 1 or 2 seconds. Now that's not it. Here comes the absolute mental double damage increase. And that is, you deal 92% increased damage for 6 seconds after the Shadow Blight key passive damages enemies 10 times. Now, I thought this one takes a long while to stack up, because Shadow Blight key passive 10 times means you have to hit enemies with shadow damage 10 times to get 1 Shadow Blight stack. So that's 100 hits with shadow to actually get 10 stacks of Shadow Blight. So it would take a long time. Wrong. Especially in dungeons, as you have huge groups of mobs, every Shadow Blight counts for this. Every shadow tick counts for this and stacks up in stanches. The good thing is, over your XP bar, you have a counter for it, knowing when you deal the bonus damage. Let me demonstrate this really quickly and then tell you how I managed to add vulnerable in this build without using Bone Spear. And it is so good for another reason. We have a bunch of weird ass spiders here, so let me create a corpse, do the shadow pools, and you instantly notice, boom, that's 100% bonus damage straight away. So every corpse explosion you do now, every Shadow Blight you get now is 8,000 damage instead, and there it is again. Again, damage increase. So everything you do right now is 100% damage increase straight off the rib. Then it runs down and it starts stacking up again. And there you go. You get it one more time, 100% bonus damage. So it is more or less constantly active and re-triggers itself. It goes down, re-triggered, goes down, re-triggered. And now imagine you have like a huge pool of elite mobs in these nightmare dungeons. My clearing speed got so much faster. And I'll demonstrate that by clearing a nightmare dungeon after I told you how I added vulnerable. And that's actually pretty simple. A lot of people have been recommending pony corpse tendrils. Corpse tendrils really good. You can get them out of a corpse. They pull things in. You do actually add some vulnerable. But I found something better for me that doesn't need me to actually play corpse tendrils. If you go for the Golem, I've been using the Taunt Golem because it makes bonus corpses, and as the Bone Golem is out there, he has an ability to taunt everyone around you. The biggest problem with that is you're always waiting for that one moment to taunt. Instead, I've been swapping for the Iron Golem, and the Iron Golem has a very cool ability. Command your Golem to go to the targeted area, they become unstoppable, and slam their fist into the ground, dealing 10,000 damage to surrounding enemies and stunning them for 3 seconds. So the very interesting part is that he stuns. Stuns is crowd control. I have bonus damage against crowd control enemies in general, but here it comes. The cooldown is only 10 seconds, so you can essentially spam that And if you go for the second ability of the Golem right behind me that you can't read, it says your Iron Golem Slam attack also makes enemies vulnerable for 3 seconds. That means that every single time I get my bonus 100% damage from the Shadow Blight key passive back here, and you see it popping in the bar, you can also send your Golem in to stun enemies, then give you also the bonus damage against crowd control enemies. You have them crowd control anyways though, but it's even more crowd control or safer crowd control. They stand in one's place, they're vulnerable, you get 20% bonus damage on the 100% damage already. Your Shadow Blight key passive does 8,000 plus damage every single tick instead of 4,000, and your corpse explosion suddenly do 15,000 damage per corpse explosion instead of 7,000. Bibbidi bobbidi bobbidi boo. The 20% comes in that too. Now all of that sounds plenty nice, but let me show how that actually works. And at the same time, let me then give you afterwards a Paragon board breakdown, which changed quite something. Let's do Renegade's Retreat, Stormbane's Wrath, Monster Fire Damage, Monster Burning Resist, and Unstoppable Monsters, which is kind of bad because I can't crowd control them, but we'll see how it goes. Also, one cool thing about this ring, it has plus minion maximum life, and I upgraded it 4 times, so now it is plus 40% to my minion maximum life, which really helps with the survivability of the minions without actually taking any aspect or going for any form of minion board in the Paragons. We'll start by running through and trying to find one of the keepers straight away. It's good to have like a gazillion charges on your Sun Golem. Thank you, before you die. And you can see like Shadow Blight key passive straight up fully charged. So we're essentially doing 100% bonus damage the whole time right now. And if you watch one of the first videos, the first guides, like notice how much more damage that actually is straight away. We're just flying through these group of mobs like there's no tomorrow. And like this is the 5-time stack for Shadow Blight, and the 10-time stack you can, oh yeah, that's the damage resistance minions. I try to kill them like straight away. Stun. Boom, bonus vulnerable, 100% bonus damage as well. I try to like kill them every single time so they're not like in any way interfering with me, because then you have like a pack of elites happening, right? And vulnerable, vulnerable, vulnerable. And you want to have them, you know, like not be like in this pack of elites right now. Jesus. Stun again. Vulnerable. Gotta make sure to kill the stupid Inquisitors because they can heal. Also, that one dude here stopping me from vulnerable again. Golem being very useful. This is like this suppressor bonus combo here right now is causing me quite some pains, I have to say. Stupid Inquisitor, go away. I'm really not digging what you're doing here to me, my friends. Like being not able to use my abilities and you just hogging me while you die anyways. Congratulations, you annoying suppressing nerds. It's kind of like one of the worst ones to have against you because they hardcore just stop you from doing your shenanigans. Resummon your minions. I mean, as you notice, my minions die, but I don't really mind that. I instantly resummon them by using Army of the Den. So you don't resummon them during the fight. You resummon them using Army of the Den. Now let's see if we can find the first keeper. Should be up here. Oh, that's a damage resistant minion. Yeah, you need to die. Come in with vulnerable Golem. There he comes flying. Boom, vulnerable. It's only 3 seconds, but it's just enough to get in some corpse explosion, get in some blights. What I try to do is I try to have max essence as I send the Golem in to essentially do a max essence slam. And then I just put like 3 or 4, oh God, you have suppressor as well. I put like 3 or 4 blights into him, like here, boom. And then 1, 2, 3 blights into him. So straight away using like the max damage I have available and get the most out of my Golem stun again. And it allows you to like just walk into these weird suppressor guys, which would be very annoying to sometimes deal with. But since you can stun them, like there's the stun again, there's the stun again, and vulnerable, you just get them down really good. it's a little bit get used to actually using your golem because you haven't been. Oh, that is a pack of elites and a half. Go in with blood, stun him with golem. 100% bonus damage triggered already. I've been fawning about this 100% bonus damage for a while now because it makes such a big difference in everything. And if you really pay attention to not the board, just what's happening below, that I'm constantly having this up. Like, I thought I would never constantly have this up, but I was wrong. You just have this going the whole time. And everything you do, every single shadow take, every single stack of whatever, all your damage. As you have 20 pools of shadow below your opponent, they just keep 20 pools of shadow plus 100% damage. Now, that's an event. Let's not do that right now because we're trying to show you a boss fight with this, because obviously on a boss fight you only have one opponent, but it still stacks nicely. Oh, that is golem. It's done. Use pools of shadow and everything dead again. Yes, Bone still does these fancy schmancy crits, guys, but I just really enjoy playing our shadow minion necro. Also, heads up, I'm currently gathering creators to actually sit down and really have an in-depth talk. I'm looking for some really old school Diablo creators to essentially theory craft the whole minion shadow build with me and see that we can squeeze out another 20, 30, 40% damage with min-maxing. There's our next friend. Oh, it's one of him. Stun Golem. Thank you very much. Yes, I did my attacks a little bit early, not waiting for the golem to come in with his stun. That was a mistake. And I pulled a little bit many elites, but he's already dying. Again, you instantly notice when a fight like this starts, how they take damage. But as soon as the key passive like goes up, and you get the 100% bonus damage, you just notice how suddenly the HP starts dropping. Now, I did go into this fight without a single skeleton, because my Army of Darkness wasn't ready. It's just about a little bit min-maxing your clearing speed. As soon as you get Army of Darkness ready, you'll get it out again. Your main source of damage is yourself, and the Shadow Mages, they just amplify that tenfold, because your Shadow Mages essentially trigger... Oh, hello, Conduit, one of my favorites. Your Shadow Mages essentially trigger the Shadow Blight, and as you know, the Shadow Blight passive now does 9,000 damage roughly per tick, instead of doing only 4,000 damage after it's stacked up, which kind of like makes sense to then have your Shadow Mages help you trigger that. Oh, Jesus, holy moly. I just noticed that my Conduit ran out and I almost died. Yeah, this could have ended very badly for me if I did not notice this earlier. And this is also like a very harsh pack, because Fire Enchanted essentially kills all your minions straight away. But hey, who cares when you're just having all this? Oh, there's a damage resistance minion. I was wondering, why are you not taking damage you're all supposed to be taking? You know, why you're not getting all torn into pieces by corpse explosions? Well, damage resistance minion. Doesn't matter. We'll get that up. Stun him. And doing... Satisfying. And I have to admit that the Golem is probably the biggest change this build has seen. Kill the shadow resistant, add damage resistant minion before we go into that keeper. Make him vulnerable again. Come on, vulnerable slam. Thank you, vulnerable slam. Every 10 seconds, keep that in mind. So every 10 seconds for 3 seconds, so you have a 7-second window where people are not vulnerable. That's okay. Army of Darkness, straight up follow up with a slam, then put 3 Shadow Blights in, or 4 Shadow Blights. You have enough time for that. And each of them get the bonus damage. Then you have 100% bonus damage. And in that 100% bonus damage phase, it's very important. When you notice that you have the tenor stack down there, I try to mostly do Corpse Explosion. So as soon as you have that stacked up to the point, I just jam that Corpse Explosion and try to get them absolutely destroyed. To the treasury. What do we have? Defeat the Outlaw Sharpshooter. Now you will see in a single target combat, you still stack it up, but not vulnerable. But not that much. Fun part, the Outlaw Sharpshooter is a very annoying unit because he tends to run away. But due to us having our unique, and if you want to know more about the uniques, there's a link in the description below. We have heat missile skeletons that essentially come out of our stuff. By the way, there was the bonus damage. You notice like how quick Shadow Blight, regardless, still triggers up. So we have heat missile seeking skeletons coming out of our corpses. And again, 100% bonus damage, make the vulnerable. Bibbidi bobbidi bobbidi boo. We're done with the Nightmare Dungeon. Currently, the number one sigil we're gaining up is the Gravekeeper sigil. It is at already 70% bonus damage to all rare notes within range. Why is that so good? Now for the Paragon board. I'm going to start at the beginning and work my way up on top. 20% bonus damage with this rare note and 8% resistance to elementals plus maximum life. Then we have here the Scourge in. That's plus 15.2% shadow damage over time right now because it's level 12 or 13 already. And it gets boosted by willpower everywhere around. Currently, I only have 7 willpower thing going on here. But as soon as this will be level 15, I can take this willpower note that we already have. And I can work my way to the other willpower notes to essentially trigger the additional bonus. Then we also have the preservation note for 200 armor plus. 200 armor plus is quite immense. And then we make our way up, mostly focusing on dexterity, willpower, and intelligence notes. We try to skip any kind of strength node. So if I can go over dexterity, willpower, and also intelligence, I'll go over that. And we get the Wither board instead of the minion board, and we turn it so the Wither is in the bottom left corner. Wither is your shadow damage over time effects have a 5% chance to deal 50% bonus damage each time they deal damage. The chance is increased by 1% and bonus damage by 2.5% for each 50 willpower. We have 300 willpower already, so that's immense. That's 6 times more, so it's 11%. That's really good instead of 5%. And we'll go to like roughly 450 willpower at the end. Then from here on out, we worked our way up to another potion healing and maximum life. The potion healing I don't really need. I wanted to the maximum life bonus because we're currently at 5,500 HP due to that. And we follow up with Dragging Shadows down here, and that is damage reduction from enemies affected by shadow damage. And that's another 8% flat damage reduction. Working our way over then to the right, we ignore the bonus damage to enemies affected by shadow over time. We will take this in the long run because it's really good. It's like 10% bonus damage, 16% versus elite and everything. You need this node. But I really wanted to go to the right to the glyph socket because right here, it's 10% shadow damage and 10% shadow damage over time, plus shadow damage over time, shadow damage, shadow damage. That boosts, obviously, your shadow blind, but we're making our way up here to another 20% shadow damage plus and intelligence, plus even more shadow damage, and there's going to be more shadow damage. And then for the glyph, we're just putting that one in that we talked about. Gravekeeper, 70% to all rare notes within range, okay? 70% bonus, that would be this one, times 70%. And then up here, you get shadow resistance and bonus intelligence, which will also get boosted. That is okay, but you're mainly just want this one boosted to the max for even more damage. Sadly, the range of 15 won't reach the Gnawing Darkness. But as soon as we pick up Gnawing Darkness, it also will be insane. And then we'll essentially connect here finally to the Dead Razor board mostly. That's Cult Leader here. And we'll most likely try to then work our way here for the glyph with Dead Razor to go for damage reduction for your minions and bonus intelligence for myself. But that your minions take like 50, 60, 70% or so damage less flat. The build is already good, but we can make it more perfect. That's why I'm meeting up with some creators to theorycraft even more. I'm learning new things every single day. This is going to be that one build to have minions as utility and go crazy. I see also all your comments, so if you have something to say, drop it in the comments below. No, I don't want it to go for bones. I don't want to use co-op strandrels. I really enjoy the Shadow Utility Summoner Mancer. If you now want to know more about the uniques, there's the video or the level 1 to 50 breakdown 1-to-1 with a written link in the description.